Okay, this is the corrections for A Maths Paper 1. The loudness L decibels of a sound is given by this. Okay, so L represents the loudness and I is the sound intensity to be measured. This is your I. Whereas I naught is the minimum sound intensity that can be heard by the human, given that the loudness of a thunder is 120. So for such questions, right, application questions, you have to be very careful when you sub in the values. For example, this loudness is this loudness. So this is your 120 and your 10 is just a 10, your log base 10 is just a 10, log base 10. Then this I, right, you actually don't have this value of I to I naught. So what the question wants is for you to find I over I naught, okay, the ratio. But it's not in this form. This is fraction form. But I normally ask you to write in this form so that it's very easy to see that this is this. And then after that, the next step, you can write it in this form, which is actually what they want. Okay, so that is the whole question. Now, this has been done already here. Okay, what I need to do now is to divide both sides. I'm trying to isolate I over I naught. I'm trying to get this. Okay, so I isolate, divide both sides by 10. I get this. Use bowling. Okay, bowling always start with the base. 10 to the power of 12 equals to this. So what we have now, right, is I over I naught. I over I naught is 10 to the power of 12. Okay, what this means, if you have a number here like 2, 3, 4, whatever, right, it actually means over 1. So if I were to translate this or transform it into this kind of form, this is this and this is this. That's why the answer is 10 to the power of 12 is to 1. Okay, now what many of you did is after this step, right, you go and cross multiply, then you get I equals to 10 to the power of 12 I naught. Then you mistakenly think that this number belongs to this, then you write this number here, this number belongs to this, then you write 1 here. So please use this method that I have been teaching you. Okay, I've been teaching you this method when we do coordinate geometry, all right, circles and similarity and congruency. Okay, so remember I say if they tell you, oh, 5ab equals to, let's say, 2ac, okay, what I recommended that you do is you write it as a fraction. Okay, write it as a fraction. So all the unknowns come to one side, then this stays, this will go to the denominator. This tells us that ab is 2, ac is 5. So AB is to AC is 2 is to 5. Alright, so this is what you need to know. If you apply this concept, you'll be able to do this kind of questions. Okay, so that's all for this particular question. Now, given that the sound intensity can be heard by a human being occurs when L equals to give me a minute. Is it focused? Okay, I hope it's focused. Okay, given that the minimum sound intensity that can be heard is 90, so minimum sound intensity, right, is L. Okay, so you have to sub it here, and I naught, which is this number at the top, right, is 10 to the power minus 3. Now, after you have substituted in, you can find the loudness of the sound if its intensity is 100. Okay, now how do you go about doing that? You notice that I naught, okay, is 10 to the power of 12. Okay, so L, to find L, right, you can actually sub this in, and then you can find the answer in 140 decibels. Alright, this is quite simple, straightforward. The only thing is that always remember to put units. Okay, follow the question and put the units. Now, this particular question is very badly done. Number one, because some of you didn't draw diagram, so you didn't draw diagram, right? Gone already lah, huh? Okay. And for the other case, those who draw diagram, you draw wrongly, okay? So that's why also gone. Now, let's take a look at what they want us to do. Now, bear in mind, for coordinate geometry, which is this, and circles, right? It is worthwhile to draw an accurate diagram. All right. So you have here point A, which is minus 3, 1, right? Minus 3, 1 could be somewhere here. Okay, I think that is quite reasonable. Then you label A, okay, so that you know that A is minus 3, 1. Now B is 6, 3. 6, 3 will be somewhere on this side, right? 6 here, then 3 will be higher than your 1. So let's say I draw it here. 6, 3, that is your point B. And C, okay, this is done already. C is 1, 8. 1, 8. Alright, so 8 is should be somewhere quite high up. Alright, so this is your C. Now, bear in mind, they say A, B, D, C. They didn't say A, B, C, D. So this is a nasty trick, nasty trick. So many of you label it as A, B, C, and D. Okay? A, B, C, D. No. Because the question says A, B, D, C. So D should come before C. And if you remember when you label quadrilaterals or triangles, it must be in a cyclic fashion. It can go anti-clockwise, it can go clockwise, but it must be in a cyclic fashion. Meaning here, 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 here. You cannot jump from here, then you jump here, then you jump there, then you jump here. Cannot. Okay, you got to jump in a cyclic fashion. Alright, so that is what you need to take note of. Now, if we need A, B, then D, C, that means the D must be somewhere here. Okay, so that's what you need to know. So that is a parallelogram in a cyclic fashion. Okay, now O levels, they normally won't do this kind of dirty tricks. Okay, so not to worry. But having said that, many of you made a lot of mistakes because you didn't read question carefully. So this is really a test of whether you read question carefully. Now the other thing is this, many of you, right, to find the coordinates of D, we have actually done many times in class, whereby the diagonals of a parallelogram, right? Okay, parallelogram would also include rectangle, square, okay, rhombus. They're all the same. So these 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes, right? The diagonals will will intersect at the same point. That means the diagonal of BC is the midpoint of BC is the same as the midpoint of AD. Okay, so if you use this concept, midpoint of AC equal midpoint of AD, right? Then you find midpoint of BC, this plus this divided by 2, this plus this divided by 2. Please learn now, there are some of you who don't know this. You get this answer, right? This is your X value, this is your Y value, correct? Okay, then for midpoint of AD, you call this by an unknown X and Y. Then you'll be able to get the midpoint for this, and then you compare for X, compare for Y, you'll be able to get the answer as 10, 10. Okay, so this is the correct way to do it. Now, let me just explain. Okay, so you please comment this to memory, okay? So these 4 shapes can be used. Now, I want to talk about those of you who didn't get it correct. Now, why didn't you get it correct? Some of you try to use, gradient. Okay, so you say gradient of CD equals to gradient of AB. Okay, then gradient of AC equals to gradient of BD. Now, can you do this method? It's very much longer than what I am suggesting you do here. Alright, and you see, this is the only method, right, whereby just by doing this, okay, in fact, you can write this here, then you would have gotten 2 equations and you can find the answer already. But for the rest, right, you really have to work it out longer, okay? Longer steps. Then the other method that some of you use is you try to, you say, oh, this length equal this length, but not much of a use, because then the expression all become very complicated because there's a lot of square and square root. Okay, so using the length not efficient. Okay, using the gradient also not efficient. But those of you who did it this way, you go and think about it whether you can get the answer or not in the very first place. Okay, you would have gotten 0 or just a few marks. Okay, then the other one is some of you go and find this gradient, then find this equation, then find this gradient, find this equation, then finally where they intersect, you solve simultaneously, then you can find this point, right? Very long, okay? Very long. So when you do corrections, right, please learn the more efficient method. You see, like that finish already, whereas many of you did it by the other way, and it's a sad story lah. Okay, so the other one down here, right? Now, shoelace method which is an area of any polygon, right, is only in A maths but you can use it in E maths. Okay, now when you use shoelace method, right, you have to go in a cyclic fashion, and 1 2 3 4 the 4 points, right, you must come back to the original. Okay, a few of you still didn't come back to original. Okay, and you must have the unit square. All right, okay, so for those of you who don't know what is the way to go, you need to go in a anti-clockwise direction. Okay, meaning that let's say I start from 6 3, it will be this, then this, then this, then this. Okay, and it's good to update your diagram. So 6 3 5 5 1 8. Okay, so 6 3, not 5 5, sorry, 10 10, sorry, I labeled wrongly. 10 10. Then you 1 8 3 1, then you must come back to the original point. Okay, so it's one full cycle. Yeah, and then the way to get a positive answer, okay, anyway, you put this is fine, but the way to get the positive answer is this times this. It's all positive you put here. Okay, then minus, this way is minus, you see, minus 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 minus. You that means you put a minus here, and then inside, right, you just multiply as per normal, then you press calculator. Okay, but if you want to play safe, then of course you just put the modulus symbol here. Okay, then everything, even if you get negative minus 55, you will just change it to 55. All right, but please try to do it the correct way. Okay, now this particular question is very straightforward, but there are some of you who can't show this, or you make careless errors here. Now what most of you did is you either change this or this to cosine. So you must always have the n in mind, and you know that your cosine can be 2 cosine square x minus 1 or 1 minus 2 sine square x, right? Okay, so the shortest method is to change this, okay, and to change this, then you can get these two already. Meaning I make this the subject, right? Then you'll be, okay, this is cos 2x, then you'll be plus 1, okay, plus, see, plus 1, you see, plus 1 divided by 2, right? Divided by 2, this fella disappears. So this is what you get. Okay, then to get rid of the sine square, here, I change place with this fella, right? So it's 1 minus cos 2x, right? Then you divide by 2, right? Because there's a 2 here. Divide by 2, 4 divided by 2, that's why it's 2. So that's how you get this answer very fast. But if you don't do it this way, that's fine also. Many of you did it by changing either this or this. Let me just do one. Okay, so what you had done was you make this the subject. So this is 2 sine square x equals 1 minus this. Then this. Okay, then this whole thing you throw inside here. What is this? 1, sorry, okay, my handwriting is terrible. Okay, so 1 minus cos 2x over 2. Okay, then minus 2 cos square x. Okay, this will give me 2 here, right? So you multiply 2. Okay, then what do you get? You will get what you call this 2 minus 2 cos 2x. But there's a minus cos square x here again. So you have to do the same thing, and you will end up with okay, then you will have 1 because 2 minus 1, so 1 minus 3 cos 2x. Alright, yeah, so that's what you have. Okay, so actually you can do it one shot instead of doing so many times, so many lines. Okay, so that's the answer for the previous part. Now, this part here, the question says hence. Okay, so you don't start from here. You look at the previous part and please ensure that it's exactly the same as this before you start substituting in. Okay, so this, is it exactly the same as what you have here? Yes, then you start to sub this inside here. Alright, because there are questions whereby there are slight changes lah. Okay, this will just be y equals to 1 minus 3 cos 2x. Now, how do we sketch this? Now, don't follow, not say don't follow, this is not very accurately drawn. Alright, so let us start from the basics because some of us don't know how to sketch this. Now, first thing is to sketch this one. Not sketch this one. This settle this first. This is step 1. Okay, how to do this? This is your center line. So you draw your center line first. Okay, so let's say this is your center line. Then of course this is not 2, this is 1, right? Okay, 1 is here. Then you have here okay, you have here 3, right? Ayo, sorry. This 3, this 3 here, let me come down a bit. Okay, this 3 here, right, is your amplitude. Now, amplitude, right, you don't bother about the plus or the minus. Amplitude, right, is how far up away it is from the center line. So it is 3 units away. So 1, 2, so 2, 3, 4 is 1, 2, 3 units away. So this should be your maximum guiding line. You must draw this. You must draw this. Okay. So you draw this, right? 3 up, 3 down. So 1. Okay, then minus 1, then minus 2. So it should be minus 2 here. The drawing not accurate. The teacher's drawing is not accurate. So yeah, so you just follow my labeling. Okay, yeah. Then ignore this fella ignore this fella. This should be somewhere here. Okay, this is your x-axis. Ignore this. Ignore this. Okay, so now what do we have? We have done this already. We have done this already. Step 2. Okay, now we are going to so-called find out whether it's a cosine or sine or tangent graph, and it happens that it's a cosine graph. Normally for cosine graph, a positive cosine graph, it looks like that, right? Quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, right? So this is your cosine graph with this as minus 1, 1, 0. So this is cosine x. Okay, but right now there is a minus here. That means later, right, you must flip it. Oh, it will be, instead of this, it will not be this. It will be quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg. That's why you have this shape here. Okay, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg. Okay, so this is one full cycle. Later then we'll talk about it, okay? Later then we'll talk about it. Okay, now next one, right, is the period. Now the period is very important because it tells you one full cycle is how many, in this case is how many degrees. So the formula is 360 divided by the number in front, the coefficient of x. So it's 2. So the period is 180. Okay? Now, the other thing you need to know, okay, that means in one full cycle, right? One full cycle, this is going to be 180 degrees. That's why you see later the answer, right? 0, 90, 180, right? This is one full cycle. Quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, right? Okay, now we are done with the period already. Okay, then this one you know you must flip. Okay, now the next thing is to determine, draw from where to where. Now you have to draw from minus 90 to 270. We know that the period is 180, right? So this is going to be like one graph, and then maybe a little bit more the graph, then this side half of the graph, like that. Okay, so not to worry. I tell you what, you do the thing that you know how to do first, and that is the period. Okay, meaning to say, you mark down. Of course, you must you mark down here also can. Okay, I mark down. What happened to my my x-axis disappeared. Okay, so this is my x-axis, right? You mark down your 180 first. So I'm going to, this is my center line, right? Center line. I'm going to mark here, I'm going to mark here. Because I find that many of you, when you mark at your x-axis, you, after that you get confused. Okay, so I'm recommending to those of you who are confused to mark here. So you can mark here 180 degrees. Later you can transfer down, not to worry, okay? You must get the shape correct first. So you do for one period first, which is 180, right? You draw 180, then halfway is 90, halfway is 45, then this will be 45, 45, 135. Okay? Now, you do for one period first. Alright? You take this advice of mine. Those who are easily confused, if you are very steady, then no problem. You start from here, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg, quarter of an egg. So this is what you do, quarter of an egg. See? It goes to the center, okay? It doesn't come to this x-axis. That's why it's better that you label here. Later you got time, then you transfer down. Even if you don't have time, it's fine, okay? Quarter of an egg, okay? Quarter of, oh sorry, I shouldn't go up so high. You don't go up so high one, okay? Your maximum means your maximum, you stop here. Then quarter of an egg, and then quarter of an egg. Alright? Are we clear? So you do one cycle first, then now you go and see, oh, they want us to do from minus 90 to 270. Then just now we already said, right, each one is 45, 45. Every quarter is 45, 45. So this will be 45, which is 225. Another 45, 270, finish already. So you need another one more quarter of an egg. Another one more quarter of an egg, finish. You stop here exactly, okay? Then you put, make sure it's directly above. If not, they may minus your marks if the paper is very easy, okay? Then now, you also want until minus 90 on the left, right? So, I told you already, every quarter of an egg is the 45. So, you 45 here, 45 here, then 45 here. Sorry, not 45, sorry. This plus 45, so it's 90, minus 90, okay? So, can you see that there's one more quarter of an egg and then quarter of an egg? That is your graph. Then you label here, okay? Y equals to, you label the original one that they have given you. So I hope this is very clear, okay? How to draw this graph lah, this particular graph, alright? Which is actually this original graph. Okay, is there anything we missed out? Alright, now if you are free, nothing better to do, right? Okay lor, then you transfer the thing down lor. Alright, but I can tell you many of you, right, need to label this center line instead of the x-axis. Okay, because when you label the x-axis, later you get confused. You go and cut here, you go and cut here, you go and cut here, then your curve looks very strange. Okay, now next one now next one is on remainder factor theorem. Remainder factor theorem, in this question, very simple, okay? You are told that this is a factor of the polynomial. So what do? You let this be equal to 0, right? So 3x plus k, when you let it be equal to 0, you will get x. Okay, I do step by step because some of you, your algebra, right, really cute you. Okay, now what do? Firstly, you cannot just happily start off and then you substitute like that without showing this. You must write this, you know. You don't write this, the examiner don't know that you know that you must actually call it a certain name. Okay, you must call it a certain name before you apply your remainder of factor theorem. Okay, so once I've called it fx or gx or whatever hx, then I can sub in this x value and I can say that because it's a factor, I write here, okay, since I must write, you know, since this 3x plus k is a factor, this is equals to 0. Alright, then you throw in, be very careful. I would like to remind everybody, odd power, right, this will still be negative, so negative times negative is plus. Okay, even power, this will be plus times minus is, where did it go? Oh, here, minus, okay, because k squared times k squared. Okay, then now you work it out, you will get this as the final answer. Okay, let's move on. Now show that this has only one real root for all real values of k. Now can you check, you need to see carefully, is this the same as anyone here? No, right? No. So if it's not right, you have to call it by another name, because right now again you are going to apply remainder factor theorem later, right? So you call this by the name gx, because just now got fx already, so now you call it g, and of course you press calculator, you will know that k equals 1. K not x, k equals 1. I see the teacher also made a mistake. Is gk, right? Is it gk? So it's k, remember, if it's x, it's x. If it's m, it's m. Okay, if it's p, it's p here. Alright, okay, so when k equals 1, you sub in, you must show the substitution. Okay, so you show it this way. You will end up with 0, confirm, then you just say that this one is a factor of this. Okay, then you cannot g all the way, cannot. You have to show this step. Okay, you have to now factorize this whole thing, okay, into linear factors. Now how do you do that? You can do long division, but very tedious, very long, and prone to mistakes. So I strongly recommend you do this. This is already a factor. Okay, now you must ask yourself, what times k will give you 2k cubed? So it must be 2k squared, right? And what times minus 1 will give you minus 35? It must be plus 35, right? So you must write the plus here. Okay, in between is a big unknown, because we don't know, because got this time this time this, so they combine together, we don't know, so we put a plus. P not X, not X, is K, okay, PK. Alright, okay, now in order to find the P, right, P is the unknown, the K are all variables, okay. You see, I should put K here, right. Okay, so be very careful, okay. Don't worry, this time round you will have a lot of time to check, okay, so you must master the skill of checking, okay. Now how to find no how to equate the coefficient of K square. You look at your K square here, any K square? Don't have. That means it's 0 K square somewhere here lah. That's why I chose K square, so that I can have 0 here, easier to do. Now this fella times what, this fella K, right, times what will give me K square? This one cannot, K cube. This one, right, so it must be P here, okay. Then this fella times what will give me K square? It must be this fella only, right? So it's minus 2, which means that your P is 2, and then you can find this. And after this, okay, because they ask you to show that it has only one real root. Who is the real root? What is the real root? The root is 1, okay. Because just now you press calculator, you only get the answer 1, right? The rest are all imaginary numbers. So please don't go and use the quadratic formula and then you show that, oh, you say error or imaginary. Don't do that. You use discriminant because you have learned discriminant. So b square minus 4ac, you find that it's less than 0. Okay, if discriminant less than 0, b square minus 4ac less than 0, right? No real roots, okay. Therefore the only root is K equals to 1. Clear? Okay, now we go to the next one. Now next one is very obvious. If you do what I ask you to do, right, write this down. This is cosine, okay. Secant, okay. So this way is differentiate. Something like your SVA like that. This way is integrate, right? Okay. So are you able to integrate tangent square? Cannot what? Cannot. Many of you go and do, I don't know what you're doing. You're doing don't know what chain rule using, and then you power bring down whatever. There's no such thing, okay? Integration is a very complicated process, okay? There's no such thing as product rule for that one don't have. So what you need to do, right, is that's why you need to know your identities very well. Many of you still don't know, okay? Secant square 2 over 5x, right? You check your formula sheet, is equals to tangent square 2 over 5x plus 1, okay? So you need to use this. So if I want to isolate this, make this a subject, then this will be equals to this minus 1, right? Here, okay? But the 1/3, the doggy still it stays. So you can either leave the doggy here, alright, or I would strongly recommend you write it as like that. That means you don't write like that, okay? You don't write like that. You don't write like that. You write it as 1/3. That means the 1/3 stays. This fella you change it to okay. Oh, sorry. Minus 1, right? Okay. Then can you integrate now? Okay, now you throw in this fella. You throw in this fella. Many of you forgot. You only did this one, forgot about this one. Okay? Yeah, you do this, then you will not make mistake. I strongly recommend when there's a bracket, power 1, right, you expand first, then you integrate. Alright? Otherwise, for our class, many of you will make mistake. Okay? As seen from your prelim examination. Okay, so wait. Integrate away 1/3. Doggy, don't do anything to it. Leave the doggy outside. Secant, integrate secant square is tangent. Argument remains the same. Okay? then you differentiate this, you will get this. Okay, integration, then you to differentiate the argument, divide by argument. Okay, then you can press calculator, right? Press calculator, you will get 5/6. Alright, then for oops, I already integrated here, sorry. Down here you integrate is just add the x, right? Then you must remember to plus c. Many of you forgot to plus c. Okay, now other class, I see this class, right? For integration questions like these, and for other questions, right, a few of them they wrote here plus c and then they circle it. You may want to do that so that later when you come back and check, right, then you see, oh, plus c, did I plus c? Maybe you have forgotten. Okay, so that's a good strategy. We learn from people what they do, we learn from them. Okay, must be humble, we learn from people. Then this is the answer. Okay, now for the next question, right, I taught you this before and I told you more commonly seen in JC. Not that it's not in O-level syllabus, it is. But normally in O-level syllabus, right, this will come in the form of like partial fractions. They will ask you to express this in the form A plus B over 5 minus 3x. They will guide you, you see. So it's not that it's not in the syllabus, but it will be guided. So remember I told you that you can do this. Actually by right you're supposed to do long division, right? Because this is power 1, this is power 1, this is actually improper, right? You can actually do long division, but I did tell you to photocopy this. And now the denominator remains the same. I see denominator is the same. We photocopy the denominator, put here, and then we try to manipulate the top until it becomes exactly what it was originally. So we are just doing makeup, change the appearance, but actually essentially they are equivalent. You see, 5 minus 3 is 2 minus 3x is just minus 3x, right? So there's no difference between this this and this. There's no difference. Okay, then after that, why we photocopy? So that you can immediately divide to get 1, immediately divide to get minus 3, whatever here. Okay, then when you integrate x, you get this. Integrate this, remember, power when you bring up is minus 1 plus 1, 0, right? Cannot divide by 0. So this is a ln case. This is a ln case. You put this doggy remains. Okay, wait, I show you. That means originally it is x, then minus 3, okay? Minus 3 is the doggy, don't do anything to it. Then you ln 5 minus 3x, differentiate the argument, you get minus 3, divide by minus 3. So this and this become plus, this and this cancel, that's how you get this, and then you must remember to plus c. Okay, maybe you can do this, then you will not forget. Alright, it's a good strategy, really good strategy. Those who did this, right, they all put c, plus c. Those who didn't do this, they didn't, some of them didn't put plus c, just like us okay. So then we learn from our competitors. Okay, so I was telling you, right, that this is one way you can do, the faster way that I taught you before. If not, then you do it this way, long division. But long division, you always put the higher power, then followed by the lower powers, right? So this side also same, higher power, then lower power, right? Okay, then wait. What times this will give me minus 3x? It must be 1, no? So it's minus 3x plus 5, and then you go and minus, same. Okay, it's the same here, same result alright, so you can do this or you can do this. Those more comfortable with this, just do this. Okay, so when it come out in O levels, most of the time is guided in the form of partial fraction, that kind of question. It won't come out like that alone, you see, because not many students can see this. Now this particular question number 6 is very nice. It's a very, I mean, it's a the person is very